the greatness of Jesus. Pay the most careful attention because of his greatness. This is greatness of the highest order. Let me go at this this way, the greatness of Jesus, and think about God. I'm going to take it from this angle. I hope this makes sense to you. If I asked you, what do you know about God? If I asked you, we had a whiteboard here maybe, and let's jot down some things that are true of God. What would they? I wonder what they would be. I wonder what you'd say. Well, I'm sure you'd say, well, he's the one who created the world, isn't he? He created everything. He created the universe, in fact. He's the creator, right? That would be right up front. And then you might say, and actually he's also the one who maintains it, who keeps it going, who sustains it, or upholds it. And then you'd say, I think also God is the one who rules over the world. He's supreme, he's sovereign, he's the king, he's the great king over all the earth. You might use the word sovereign to explain that. And then you might say, well, I think God is eternal too, isn't he? He doesn't have a beginning and he doesn't have an end. He's always existed. He always will exist. He's the only being in the universe who is eternal. Angels might live forever from now, but they were created at a point in time. They didn't exist before that. And another thing about God, you might say, is he never changes. The posh word is immutable. He's immutable. And we learned all about mutation, didn't we, during the pandemic, when we learned that the virus could mutate. That means change. So if something is immutable, it can never change. And it's true of God that he's both eternal and he's immutable. He never changes. God doesn't need to change. He's perfect as he is. And then finally you might say, and that's maybe the sixth thing, he is to be worshipped. And he alone is to be worshipped. And you might point out to me that the Bible is very clear about that. That only God, of all the beings in the universe, is to be worshipped with that intensity, with that love, with that adoration. So that when people worship other gods, or celebrities, or pop stars, or football teams, or even their own family, then that's idolatry. That's foolish idolatry, because God alone deserves that kind of attention, that kind of fixation, that kind of devotion. God alone deserves that. So he's the creator, he's the sustainer, he's the ruler, the great king over all the earth. He's eternal, he's immutable, and he alone is to be worshipped. I'd say you might tell me that those are six things that you know about God. And now as you look at Hebrews 1, you will find that all of these things are said about the Son, who is the Lord Jesus Christ. All of these things are true of him. So he made the world, as in verses 2 and 10. He made the universe, through whom he made the universe, verse 2 and verse 10. In the beginning, Lord, you laid the foundations of the earth. That's true of the Son. It's true of Jesus. He sustains the world or upholds the world. That's verse 3. Sustaining all things by his powerful word. He rules over the world. That's chapter 1, verse 3. At the right hand of the majesty in heaven. That's the place of rule and authority. And again in chapter 1, verse 8, about the Son, he says, your throne, O God, will last forever and ever. He's on the throne. He rules. The Son, the Lord Jesus Christ, rules. And then in verse 12, he's described both as eternal and unchanging. You remain the same, right at the end of verse 12. That's immutable, unchanging, and your years will never end. That's a picture of his eternality, his eternity. And then finally, worship is also ascribed to the Son. And remember, that's something you can only give to God. So verse 6, let all God's angels worship him. All the angels, even the angels, all the angels worship Jesus. So these are pretty big indications that we're dealing with a being of another order. That is to say, not a created being, an uncreated being in the Son, in Jesus. This is a picture of his greatness, All of the things that we say about God are true of Jesus, the Son.